Natalie from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, June 9th. So today we have the moon in Libra all day. There are 11 different aspects. 11 of them involve the moon. This is the third moon day of the week. We talked about this a little bit more in depth in the ascension forecast for the week. We have been gifted a very beautiful opportunity this week to get our heart and our head on the same page, to get them in balance, to get them in agreement, because we're about to move into a time where action is needed. And we can't take action, we can't make a move, we can't pick a direction until our heart and our head are in agreement. Now, the moon in Libra is an air energy. There's a lot of mental stimulation, there's a lot of socialization, there's a lot of compromise, a lot of cooperation being illuminated because we're very focused on mending, fixing, healing our bumpy, disconnected relationships. Now, yesterday, if you listen to the forecast, you will know and you will remember that the moon in Libra's objective is to find balance, to find peace, to find joy, to find happiness and pleasure. But in order for us to actually find those things, we have to explore the extremes in our lives. We have to really see where things are out of whack so that we can lend our time, energy, focus, and attention to those particular areas to stabilize those areas for us to find a common ground. With 11 different aspects, it is a little bit of a busy day in the cosmos, with the moon in Libra trying to find a grounding point before we go ahead and dive into the moon in Scorpio, which we will be diving into tomorrow. We will have a weekend of the moon being in Scorpio, which should kind of show you that we're in for a huge emotional transformation, especially seeing as this is the very first time that the moon will be transiting through the Scorpio energy since the full moon total lunar eclipse in Scorpio in eclipse season. This is where we kind of reconcile. This is where we sort things out. This is where we kind of disconnect from things for good, and where it is that we create the space for a new resurrection, a rebirth, and a renewal to take place. But before we deep dive into the shadows, into the darkness, into the psyche, into the heart space, in that Scorpio energy, we have to find a new common ground, a new balancing point between our heart and our head. And the moon in Libra is here to do just that. The moon is going to be bumping into the true node in probably not the nicest way, but not the harshest aspect either. What this is really trying to do is to show us where it is that we're very unsure and uncertain on our next step. The true node is our soul's destiny points, trying to get us on the right path, trying to get us in the right kind of perspective on where it is that we can move forward. But the moon in Libra, again, is very concentrated on the extremes in our heart, in our head, in our physical circumstances, and where it is that we need to find stability in our emotions first and foremost before we can go ahead and start taking action to move closer to the dream, to the vision, to the end goal point that we now are inspired to pursue. The moon is going to bump into Venus. Venus rules over Libran energy, who is in Taurus energy, its place of power, because the goddess herself, she rules over Taurus energy and Libran energy. When she's in Taurus, she's focused on our own selves, what makes us happy, what brings us joy, our own self-worth, our own self-value, how it is that we feel, how it is that we interact in relationships, and where it is that we can build long-term goals where our relationship values are concerned and where our financial situation is concerned as well. In Libran energy, she tends to focus more on the relationship side, where it is that we interact with others, the energy exchange that we have with others, very much focused on bringing her best self that she tries to put together in Taurus energy to the world around her, interacting with other people, the Libran energy. So the moon in Libra bumping into Venus, the ruler at this particular point in time, is a good energy because we're starting to identify what works for us. We've been kind of focused on the extremes of what isn't working for us. Now we want to get down to the nitty-gritty on what feels good, what is working for us. Where do we feel safe? Where do we feel secure? Where do we feel stable? Sometimes it takes recognizing where it is that we're lacking in order for us to jump to the other side to see what is working. This particular energy is going to give us a little bit of an anchor point, if you will. Sometimes many of us get caught up in what we're lacking, the scarcity the scarcity mindset, right? What it is that we want more of, what it is that we're not happy with, when realistically the power is in the present moment, where it is that we can adopt the attitude of gratitude, where it is that we can confidently confirm, validate, and affirm to ourselves, to the universe, what we love, what brings us happiness, what brings us joy, what we're grateful for, what is working, why we feel good about ourselves, right? This is very much the vibe. We need to focus right now on kind of rooting in, anchoring in all the things that we're sure of, that feel good, that contribute to our overall health and wellness, to our overall long-term plans and goals for ourselves, for our relationship, for our money matters. This is a time to speak out loud. Again, Mercury and Taurus. We have a lot of power in the words that we speak, that we allow to leave our bodies, because that's how we manifest. There's a lot of power right now in validating and affirming, speaking out in words confidently with clarity on what we love, what we know to be true, what we feel safe and secure in. It's a great time to exercise that, because the moon is going to go ahead and bump into Saturn, who is retrograde in Aquarius, in not the nicest way. This, again, after we anchor in what is working for us, it's going to show us what isn't working for us, especially where the roles, responsibilities, and commitments that we've made to other people are concerned. Libran energy, concerned with other people. Aquarian energy, concerned with other people. Right now we're at a crossroads, because many of us are wanting to kind of bust away from the roles and responsibilities, the commitments that we've made to other people in order to do what is right for us, right? But the hard part of doing that is that we feel bad. We feel guilt. We feel just like we don't want to let people down. We don't want to disappoint other people. Not realizing that when we don't honor ourselves and do what is right for us and put ourselves first, that we are disappointing ourselves, that we are making ourselves sad, that we are putting ourselves in a situation to create guilt, resentment, and shame within ourselves and even towards other people, because we don't have the balls to stand up for ourselves and to do what is right for us. The moon is going to bump into Uranus. This is a beautiful energy, because this means that by identifying earlier what is working for us, by identifying what isn't working for us, the roles and responsibilities that we need to break away from, the Uranian energy brings us liberation, brings us freedom, brings us a shift in perspective, brings us a big picture, big vision goal on what it is that we want to be manifesting, what it is we want to be living, what it is that we want to be experiencing. And from that, we can break that down into manageable pieces, see what we actually have control over in the here and now, and where it is that we can boss up, take a baby step in the here and now to align with the vision and the dream that we want to bring to life. The moon is going to oppose Mars. The moon is in Libra, Mars is in Aries. Libra sits across the street from Aries energy. Mars in Aries wants us to aggressively pursue what is our passion, our desire, what we want, what excites us. The moon in Libra wants us to do what we think other people want us to do, what would make other people happy, what would put other people's interests before our own. Obviously, we can see here that this is going to trigger a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration, because we don't know what to do. Mars in Aries is so fired up, so juiced up, and also the line between passion and anger is very thin. We might tend to need to dabble in that anger feeling, in that frustrated feeling, in order for us to realize where it is that we are doing ourselves a disservice. Right? Sometimes we need to feel those uncomfortable, not so nice thoughts and feelings in order for us to illuminate what needs to change first and foremost. Now, the moon, which is our emotions, especially our unconscious feelings, sitting across from Mars, who is the god of war, mind you, who brings up all these passions, all these desires, who brings up this warrior spirit in order for us to fight for what it is that we want, what it is we need, desire, and believe in, has a tendency to illuminate for us where it is that we need to hulk out and be angry and be frustrated in order for us to find out where it is that we feel held back. Because the moon is in Libra, we're likely going to be illuminated to where it is that we feel held back by other people, by our relationships, by our want, need, and desire to make other people happy, even if it means that we're not so happy, because it means that we have to put on the back burner all the things that we want, all the things that make us happy, all the spark and excitement and fire and flames that just got reignited in our soul. We're starting to realize that the relationships that we have in our life, where they've been more of a cage instead of a support system for us to be our best selves. Is it going to feel good? Nope. Should it feel good? Nope. Are we going to get through it? Yep. How are we going to get through it? By realizing that our anger, our frustration is our internal compass to let us know where it is that we are not honoring ourselves, where it is that we're not doing right by ourselves, and where it is that the change is needed the most. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Mercury in not the nicest way. Mercury, again, in its post-shadow period, going to take up until the 18th in order to get up to speed, up to clear view, has its blinders on in Taurus energy. We're going low and slow. We're trying to review all that has transpired since basically mid-April, especially all that went down during retrograde season, during eclipse season. Relationships definitely got rocked in eclipse season for good reason. Many of us are in relationships that we got no business being in. Many of us would not choose to walk away from these relationships that we have no business being in. Therefore, the universe kicks in with a divinely scripted play-by-play in order to detach us from the things that are actually blocking us from getting to our dream, our vision, our soul's mission, our soul's purpose, and being our highest potential and best self. The moon bumping into Mercury right now, trying to get our heart and our head on the same page. Is it going to happen? No. Why do I say that? Because it's not the right aspect for that. Right now we have to feel the extreme. Right now we have to feel the polarized energy. Our heart feels one thing, our head says another. Our heart wants us to take an action doing one thing for someone else. Our headspace wants us to do an action to do something for us instead of other people. Like we, the Libran energy, so focused on what is best for us, the team. The Tauran energy is more focused on what is best for us, the individual. Where can I strengthen my own confidence, my own self-esteem, my own worth, my own value within myself without relying on other people, becoming my own resource? While the Libran energy is saying, oh my goodness, I need to make sure that other people are happy with me, because if other people aren't happy with me, then I'm not worth anything, right? There's this disconnect between the Taurus energy and the Libran energy. We have to be our best selves, Taurus energy, before we have any business sharing ourselves with other people, Libran energy. So we're very much trying to sort out our heart and head at this particular aspect, because again, our emotions are telling us that we should be in alignment to making other people happy, while our headspace is saying, screw that, you need to be happy yourself before you can make other people happy. The moon is going to continue this little battle by bumping into Venus, the ruler of Libran energy. Venus is the goddess of love, peace, harmony, pleasure, joy, worth, money. She's in her place of power in Taurus. She's very focused on the here and now, on the physical senses, in order to bring in the data, the information, the ideas, the emotions, to let her know what is working for her, what is not working for her, where it is that the stability, the safety, the security is very anchored in, very rooted in, and where it is not. The moon in Libra bumping into Venus in this way is likely going to create a situation and a scenario in our external realms outside of our control, likely popping off with a very close personal relationship that is going to show us 100% where it is that we're at odds with wanting to do right by other people, and where it is that we want to do right by ourselves. And those two are not in agreement. Right now, we cannot make other people happy and make ourselves happy. The choices, the direction, the path, we're in Gemini season. They're polarized, they're dualistic, they're very extreme. And right now we're trying to anchor in our next soul journey, our next timeline, our next contract. Are we going to stick with the same old, looking outside of ourselves for validation, for power, for worth, which very much is the moon in Libra, looking outside of oneself for validation of worth? Or are we going to evolve and do what is right for us? Very much standing in our goddess vibes, being very receptive, very intuitive, very much on our game of making sure that we are happy as an individual, a whole individual, first and foremost, before we go ahead and start tearing ourselves apart for other people. Emotionally speaking, we're going to have an aha moment. Mostly because of the disconnect that we have, mostly because the choice that we have right now is so very different. Do we want to continue to sacrifice our own wants, needs, and desires just to make other people happy? Or do we want to pull it in and say, you know what, I've done this for long enough. Let me pour into myself. First and foremost, let me make myself happy. Let me heal my wounds. Let me fill my voids and see how my relationship changes because of that. The moon is going to sit across from, oppose Chiron. This is going to add salt into the wound. Chiron is the wounded healer. He's in Aries energy. Libra and Aries energy sits across from one another. Chiron in Aries energy has been exposing our ego identity wounds. Why? Because we've been stripped away of a lot of the attachments that we've been too intertwined with, many of us not even knowing who it is that we are without this person, without this job, without this title, without this house, without this car. We have been rocked in order for us to realize where it is that certain aspects need to be stripped away to free us up to have the space to align with our highest soul mission and path. Does it feel good? No. Is it supposed to feel good? No. Do we grow when we feel good? No. You need to be uncomfortable before you're willing to boss up and make a change. The truest awakening, the truest transformations come from a state of suffering. Plain and simple. The moon in Libra wants to balance these freaking emotions out, wants to find peace, wants to find harmony, wants to find safety, wants to find stability. But our ego, right? Our ego is getting caught up on, well, geez, what are people going to think of me if I just, walk away from this commitment that I made? What are people going to think of me if I just cut my relationship off? What are people going to think of me if I leave my 9-to-5 corporate job to be an entrepreneur and do something I love? These are the ego wounds that get really, really loud, that start speaking fear into the dreams that we are trying to align with. Our intuition, our emotions, our dream state is trying to show us the kind of reality that we want to be manifesting and living in, because that gets us closer to our soul's mission, our soul's purpose, that makes us smile from our heart space. But what we need to do to get there is to be real, to be authentic. And what that means is being pointed at, being talked about, being disliked, being the bad guy. That is something that the moon in Libra will go to great lengths to avoid. But that is also where it is that Chiron, the wounded healer, needs to boss up and stand in his power in order to do those things, to segregate himself from the group, to be talked about, to take the chance of being disliked in order to follow the path and the passion that our soul, our heart and soul is calling us to pursue. The moon is going to bump into the true node. We started the day off with the moon bumping into the true node, adding confusion. We don't know what the step is. We don't know what the next move is. Then we went through this whole day of a little bit of aggravation, frustration, being put at odds with the extreme points of view, our choice points. Then we got salt rubbed in the wound of our personal relationships, recognizing where it is that we have been overextending the wants, needs, and desires of the other people in our lives in order for us to oppress and suffocate our own wants, needs, and desires, and what that has cost us. And now, with the moon bumping into the true node, we have a realization on what it is that we need to do, on the decision that we need to lean closer to, on the choice that we need to move closer to, on the path, the option that now is becoming a little bit more appealing. Mostly because we're being illuminated to what it is we no longer want to experience. And sometimes that's the only way we can come up with making a decision, especially when it means that we have to boss up and put ourselves out there in a way that we wish we didn't have to. Especially when it means that we have to evolve, push ourselves outside of our comfort zone in order to see what kind of outcome we get by doing something different. Does it feel good? No. Does it come with rewards? Yes. And may I remind you, a baby step is still a step forward. The moon is going to bump into Uranus. This is another learning opportunity to put forth what it is that we're actually thinking, what we're actually feeling, what we actually want to take action on. Again, this is going to create a little bit of chaos. We're not sure. We're unstable. Oh my goodness, I kind of feel compelled to make a major move, to make a major change, to put myself out there. But should I? Right? The ego starting to speak fear into what it is that our heart, our soul just knew to be true. This particular aspect is going to create confusion, is going to shake us up, is going to create a little bit of restless, a little bit of anxiety. That always happens before we boss up to make a major move that will change the course and the path in which we're willing to venture. Again, a breakdown is needed before a breakthrough comes. Chaos is needed before clarity. And this particular aspect is going to illuminate to us the choice point that we need to lean into, even though it makes us a little bit scared. Sometimes when you fear something, that is the time to make the move. We're going to end the day off with the moon trining the sun. Anytime that the moon and the sun come together in a positive or negative aspect, there's an overlap between the past and the future, leading us in this present moment to see what direction we want to go. The moon in Libran energy is very overly attached to how it is that we did things in the past, especially sacrificing our own wants, needs, and desires for other people. We had a day where we just got illuminated to where it is that we can't do that anymore if we don't want to feel the same kind of outcome. The sun is in Gemini, again, illuminating for us two different choices, two different decisions, two different options, two different paths, directions. Now we are starting to see where one path, one choice, one direction, one option ain't looking so good, which means that we got to put the eggs in the basket of the option that is left. The past meets the present. There's an overlap. What it creates is us in the here and now, where we have to think very carefully on whether or not we want to stick with the same old, revolving around the same topic, same theme, same lesson, same heartache, same thoughts, or whether we want to evolve, choose something new, put ourselves out there, boss up, make a move, and see what kind of outcome we get. We know that if we continue to do, we will only receive all of the things that we've already got. We don't know what we will get if we try something new. Again, it always comes down to this particular moment, what you will focus on, what you will allow to feel, and what you're going to choose to take action on. What choice will you make? Are you going to be tethered to the past, or are you going to be open to the future?